Hey BookTube, welcome back to Belle's Library. Tonight I wanted to share with you guys some of the things that I'm planning on reading in September, and also my picks for Shaketember 2024. This will be my first year participating in Shaketember. This is hosted by Old Blues Chapter and Verse. This Shakespearean reading challenge is definitely going to be a challenge for me because I'm not really a Shakespeare fan. And as much as I've studied English literature over the years, I've just never really valued Shakespeare as much as many of my peers. So I am challenging myself to read and enjoy something by Shakespeare this September. Now I'm gonna go ahead and share those picks with you first, and then I will go into the other things that I am planning on reading in September. Some of these are things that I usually pick up every autumn, and so I wanted to show you guys what those are and talk a little bit about my plans. Now, my Shakespeare pick for September is going to be A Midsummer Night's Dream. This play is one that I am very familiar with. I have seen it performed many times. My brother in high school played Bottom in this play. It was hilarious, and other friends have put it on over the years. I've seen it in film. This play I think is going to be simple for me because I know it well. I don't think my problem with Shakespeare has been that, the language has maybe got me caught up or something. I think it's more that I'm just struggling to enjoy the stories. And it's not everybody's cup of tea, but it has been many people's cup of tea for several hundred years. So I will give him another chance because I have not given Shakespeare a chance in my 40s, maybe not even in my 30s. So I'm going to read Midsummer Night's Dream. I found this copy actually just recently, a few days ago, at a book sale that was going on in a nearby town, and my daughter and I went shopping for her birthday. And so I was like, all right, that's the first Shakespeare I've come across. That's the one I'm going to read. All right, and then the second Shakespeare-related thing that I am committing to for September is this book called Shakespeare Sisters. This is by Rami Targoff. This one I have already begun reading. I'm a little ways in. I started a few days ago, and so I've just been reading a little bit at a time and annotating. And I am enjoying this. So obviously, as far as we know, Shakespeare didn't actually have sisters. This title actually refers to Virginia Woolf's essay, A Room of Her Own, where she postulates, what if Shakespeare had a sister named Judith? What kind of experience would Judith Shakespeare have being a writer during his time? Would she have had the same accolades and the same notoriety? Would we remember her? And Virginia Woolf says, absolutely not. Well, this book proves her wrong. This book actually is talking about four, and it says four, but actually it does mention Queen Elizabeth I, and so I'm going to say 5 different writers from the time of Shakespeare, women writers, and the important things that they wrote and their stories. So this author is debunking Virginia Woolf's case there and bringing up these writers from so long ago, these female writers. So I'm really enjoying this. I saw it on the shelves at Barnes & Noble, and I looked at it a few times as I went in and then decided to go ahead and get it. So this is Shakespeare Sisters, How Women Wrote the Renaissance. So that will be something else that I will finish. I will finish it in September. This is the 26th of August. I'm pretty sure I'm going to finish it within the month of September because I am going through it fairly slowly and we'll be reading other things in between. All right, then my third definite read that I definitely want to go through in September is Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. Now, so I have made a commitment to myself to reread some things that I did not enjoy in the past. This will probably be my 5th read through Frankenstein, and all of those other 4 times I did not enjoy the story. I didn't really see what the big deal is. I never have preferred Mary Shelley. I think the story's ridiculous. I think her writing is lousy. I do not enjoy this book. But I have committed here, a little project of mine, to reread some things that everybody else seems to think is pretty great and see if I can't dig out some worthwhile things within these reads. See if I can't just make myself enjoy them. So Frankenstein is going to be my first book in that project. So I'll let you know how it goes. Ugh. I'm glad it's short. Another book that I'd really like to read during September, and I just cannot find my copy anywhere, is The Curious Case of Benjamin Button by F. Scott Fitzgerald. Now, I know that I purchased a copy of this in February. I have been looking high and low throughout my home trying to find it. I've asked my kids. I even went back on Amazon to make sure I actually really did order it, and I did in February. It is nowhere. So if I can't find it here pretty soon, I'll probably order another copy, but I have not read that story in a really long time, and I love that story. And so I want to revisit that this September. Now, the rest of these reads are things that are kind of my pile of possibilities. My only definites are those three that I just showed you and Benjamin Button. But these other ones are things that I often do pick up during the autumn season. And so I'm sure that I'm going to read at least a little bit from these, but I'm not positive that I'm going to read clear through everything. So I want to share those with you today. So this is sort of like my autumnal reading recommendations along with my probable September schedule. So I have been reading through Grimm's Fairy Tales. In fact, the other night our power went out, and so I wanted to read something that was sort of lighthearted because I was going to be reading by a candle, and sometimes that can be difficult. And so I found my copy of Grimm's Fairy Tales that my mom gave me when I was a little girl. See, there it is. And so I started reading a few of these. They are weird. I remembered from childhood that they were weird, but they are weird. So I will probably read some more of these. One of my goals this year was to read more fairy tales, short stories, fables, and the like. So I'm going to read some more from that. I also think that I would like to read The Scarlet Pimpernel by Baroness Orczy. So this is my oldest daughter's favorite story. She loves the story so much. I read this with her several years ago, just kind of like a buddy read, and really enjoyed it. I did. And so I think I want to read back through this again. I was actually looking for it last month. I couldn't find it, and then I went into my library and looked up and there it was up on the top shelf. Maybe that's what I need to do with Benjamin Button. I really don't think he's up there, but maybe I should have a relook. Anyway, I think I'm going to read Scarlet Pimpernel again. And then another probable read will be this collection of tales by Edgar Allan Poe. These are some of his poetry and short stories. And I always like reading Edgar Allan Poe in the cooler months into the fall, and I don't really know what that is about it. So it's not really the spookiness factor. Like, I don't, do Halloween or anything like that. It's not that it goes along with that. I think what it is about the autumn season that has kind of that feel where it just makes you want to like jump into a gothic novel, or, actually time travel to a gothic novel. I think what it is it's just like things are getting darker, things are getting colder, and it's kind of mysterious, right? What's out there in the dark? Where it used to be light this time of day, now it is dark. Things are changing, and the leaves are falling, and things are getting crunchy, and there's a forest, and now my forest is a little bit spookier because it's not bright and pretty and lit up most of the day like it is in the summertime. Now it is dark and gloomy, and the mornings have mist, and all these things. It just kind of sets an atmosphere. Now, by the time you get to December and January, you've been there, done that for a few months, so it's not quite as mysterious as it is in October and November. So I think that that's really what it is about autumn that sort of just draws me, because I love that mysterious feeling. It always feels like a new beginning to me. I think it's because that's when school started, right? And so to me it was a new year, and that feeling of what's out there, what's coming, what's new, what's going to happen, the mystery of things, I think is what draws me to read things like Edgar Allan Poe in the autumn season, right? So I will read at least part of this. I picked up this copy a while back. I've had many copies of Edgar Allan Poe, and they've just gone different ways over the years, but this copy I just picked up because my daughter, my 15-year-old daughter, wanted to read some of him as well, and so I picked us up both a copy because I was like, yep, so do I. Something else that I may get to, that I've not read this in years, and this is Walden by Henry W. Thoreau. And I love this copy, right? This is a perfect copy for autumn because it's totally an autumn theme on the cover. But the story of Walden Pond and all of the things that he sort of philosophizes about, I really enjoy this book. It's been a long time, so I would like to read back through Walden again. I think it's probably been, probably 15 years, 14 or 15 years since I have read Walden. That's a long time. I've changed. So I think the story will have changed for me as well. So I'd like to go through that. And then finally, something that I always read during the colder months is Nathaniel Hawthorne's collection. You guys will see this on every autumn video for me forever, I'm sure. I host Nathanuary in January, which is a challenge to read something by Nathaniel Hawthorne. This year I'm already thinking through my picks. I think I'm going to go with A Scarlet Letter this year, and thinking through the different videos that I'd like to make on him. This is my very favorite male author. So this is my equivalent to Emily Bronte. I've got Nathaniel Hawthorne as my favorite male author and Emily Bronte my favorite female author. I really enjoy Nathaniel Hawthorne's stories, especially the ones that deal with religious hypocrisy. So I just finished last month reading a book called The Witches. It's a nonfiction, just a deep dive into the Salem witch trials, things that really went on as opposed to things that have been been passed down as legend. This author really cut out a lot of the myths and stories behind this witch trials and just went to the actual facts, which makes it a little less, I don't know, exciting. That's a pretty morbid word to use, but just a little less intriguing, mysterious, I guess. But it brings the truth out, right? Which actually is probably a fair thing to do for these victims, right? These terrible atrocities that happen to these probably innocent people. So anyway, Nathaniel Hawthorne's great grandpa was involved in all of that. So he, a couple centuries later almost, writes a lot of stories that deal with religious hypocrisy, the religious hypocrisy of the original early colonists. And he does so in a very allegorical sort of way, and very just lyrical and just fun to read stories. Lots of allusion and metaphors, alluding to contemporary things as well as stuff that happened back in colonial times. And I just find it so fun to dig into his stories and find the layers of meaning and the layers of morality, right, that he's trying to share. So some of my favorite ones do take place in sort of spooky atmospheres, like Young Goodman Brown takes place on a road late at night and he's all alone in the forest. And anyway, I'm sure that I will be reading through this quite a bit between now and January when I host Nathanuary. And then other than this stack, I will continue to read through the books that I had chosen for Historathon Quarter 3. I made a video on that. You guys can check that one out. We are doing 1500 through 1820. And so I've got a couple finished actually to share with you guys here in the next day or two. And then a couple more that I want to try and get done in September before we move into the last quarter of Historathon. All right, guys, I hope that some of this stuff inspired you. Let me know if there's anything here that you're interested in reading, or if you have read that you'd like to comment on. What kind of things do you plan on reading in September, and do you plan on participating in Shaketember also? I hope everybody is having a great day. I will see you soon. Bye-bye.